Welcome to the Pop Tower Podcast with your host, the man behind the myth, Peter Dawson, and the Soulful Lordy, James Bullock.
Episode 86, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. I'm Peter W. Dawson.
And I am James Bullock.
I like how I stopped slightly before I said my name. Sometimes I might cut out pauses, but that one's staying in.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And we are the Wyld Stallyns.
Yep. Anyway, so we got three things to talk about this week, so we got to get right into it. We got WWE 2K Battlegrounds as our game of the episode. And boy, is it a game of the episode.
Like, this whole podcast, the subjects we picked are based on sheer absurdity. It's amazing.
Yeah, that really feels like it this week, doesn't it? Because it's like, oh my god. So what happened, for those who aren't in the know and maybe haven't been keeping up with this, WWE 2K20 was basically the harbinger of 2020.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it really was.
Because it was a broken mess with really bad graphics, really bad gameplay. Like, even for the 2K wrestling games, like, they somehow made the gameplay worse.
Yeah. They had developmental issues, youths leaving, visual concepts having no idea what to do, literally having to use the engine from 2018 and try to rebuild off of that, and still couldn't get it right. Like,
one of the ones that still sticks with me is What's Her Nuts, your stupid rival from high school in career mode.
Oh.
She looks so bad compared to all the other characters.
I can't remember her first name, but I remember the last name is Von Braun.
I think isn't it like Brooke Von Braun or something?
There you go, Brooklyn Von Braun. That's it.
Yeah, and it's just like awful, which is a shame because the plot in that one's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's the worst part because
stupid high school drama element notwithstanding, just like stuff like Samoa Joe getting a robot arm. Didn't Kane become president at some point?
Yes, and then of course we have Taker taking you to a supernatural world. Like, just so many great moments in that story mode. Like, I really did enjoy the career mode in that game. That was like the one good thing they consistently did throughout the entire game.
It was just the huge level of absurdity.
Yes, exactly. Like, they had no shame in saying, you know, wrestling's ridiculous. Let's just play into it as best we can.
Speaking of ridiculous, oh boy, the character models for 2K Battlegrounds.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So,
first match. Okay, I'll tell you this. First match, I had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kofi Kingston. Shinsuke actually looks really good in this game.
Yeah, he looks basically like himself.
Like he's made for being a cartoon figure. Kofi, however, you would never be able to pick him out of a lineup unless if you never saw his outfit, like his New Day outfit now, you would never know that's Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, I know. Like, oh my god. Like, some of the characters just look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones look good. Like, we could spend all day. I like two of the ones that you called out before we started the recording were The Miz.
Yes.
Who somehow has a chin. And Baron Corbin, who looks like, let's go with your local stage production version of Skeletor.
I was going to say he's like a poor man, Agent 47. Like, if Agent 47 went on hard times, that's what Baron Corbin's character model looks like.
And suffered from dysmorphia?
Yeah.
Of the skull?
Yes.
Because, like Agent 47's got, like, that perfectly sculpted head.
Yeah.
This one looks like they started with that and then just
like
it.
Like, they was like, oh, man, this pottery class is not going well.
Like, it just makes it more glaring, because they get some characters that look almost realistic, and then you get other ones that look... Like, Aleister Black looks pretty good.
Yeah, Aleister Black looks really, really good.
And Asuka, aside from the fact that they gave her anime eyes.
Yeah. AJ is, like, in the middle. It's funny with, like, a lot of the guys, like, the lower card guys, like Akira Tozawa, actually looks really good. And, of course, people with masks look great.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Of course the people with masks look good.
Yeah, but,
although Kalisto's face is a little long.
Yeah. But, then you look at someone like, Mickie James, who does not look like Mickie James at all.
Yeah, we could spend the entire episode just talking about how much, Mickie James doesn't look remotely right.
Really, a lot of the female wrestlers do not look good.
Yeah, I commented on Nia Jax, and I'm looking at some of the other ones, and a lot of them, ooh.
Charlotte looks nothing like her.
I haven't even looked at Charlotte does not look great.
No.
Well, the eyes are accurate. Everything else is wrong.
Everything else is wrong.
What the hell did they do to Carmella?
Oh my goodness. You have to see her entrance. She is having an epileptic fit.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness.
And then Bayley looks like what are those things, like the little slammy figures where like they have real hair and everything else is
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like one of those. Oh my god. Andre the Giant, that just looks insulting for a man who died of severe degenerative or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Sergeant Slaughter looks accurate, but
that's not too hard to do.
He always had the absurd chin.
Right, exactly. Like, he's like very much like Nakamura. Like he's perfect for a cartoon character.
Yeah. Although I think, do we want to talk about how bad Hulk Hogan looks?
Oh yeah, I was going to say Hulk Hogan looks really, really bad. I was going to say Dolph Ziggler doesn't look too great. But Hogan, yeah, he looks atrocious.
Oh yeah, Dolph does not look like Dolph.
No, not at all. No.
Oh, he kind of looks like Dolph Lundgren though. So.
It's like we had to get one Dolph in here. We might have the wrong one, but at least we got a Dolph.
What the hell did they do? Oh man, yeah, basically 90+% of the roster don't look good.
No, not at all.
Like a handful of the dudes, Roman Reigns looks weird actually.
No, Roman doesn't look that good either. Like, I was surprised.
Ricochet looks okay.
Like grandiose beards or masks are the only things that really help you, except for a few people. Like Nothing looks pretty good. R-Truth looks pretty good. Seth was okay. Taker looks pretty much Taker.
Seth looks terrible. I gotta disagree with you on that. The beard doesn't work.
No, it really doesn't help. Asuka looks good. She's one of the few female characters that actually looks good.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing is like her eyes look wrong, and I think I noticed it.
Yeah.
It's probably a combination of that, and because she had the line through her face, I think they didn't know where to stop the stretch. But I swear to God, a few of the people in general just have like way too much stretch. Like Tozawa, like in general looks good, and he has kind of a tall head, but it looks like they made his head slightly.
And they make it a little bit bigger to fit the rest of the roster.
Yeah, well, like Tozawa almost looks like Eddie Guerrero, which is weird.
He kind of does. It really with this character model, he actually does. It's weird.
Yeah. So we're spending a lot of time riffing on the character.
Yeah. Really, because there's not that much else to talk about.
No, because like this is clearly meant to be kind of a successor to WWE. What was it? Superstars, Legends of WrestleMania, or whatever.
All Stars. Yeah, All Stars. And then you can even go like back further and like go to WrestleMania, the arcade game. But we just don't have flaming skulls and tombstones coming from Taker.
Yeah, because like they wanted to have fun with it with the cartoonish elements, but like it's one of those ones where it doesn't feel like they didn't go far enough.
No, not at all. No.
Because they still wanted to make it look right. So, like, you know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of the Game of Thrones Telltale game.
Oh yeah.
Where they're trying to create original characters to fit alongside real characters. So they have to kind of tweak the actual actors and their appearances to look a little more cartoonish, which just makes them look like stunt doubles.
Yeah.
Kind of like what happened with the characters in the Avengers games, where they just kind of look like the stunt doubles of the film version. You know what I mean?
Exactly like the stunt doubles of the characters that you would see in the movies.
This is very much a Spaceballs moment. You idiots! You captured their stunt doubles! Yeah, because like the gameplay, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's solid. It's one of those games that is easy to pick up and play, which is always a plus.
Yeah.
But after you play it, a half an hour to an hour, you've pretty much seen a majority of what you can do with everybody, because like the base game is rooted in the fact that every character has a specific class, and it's only 5 classes. So if you say like, okay, Taker's like a powerhouse, and Becky Lynch is a brawler, so like one can like do seismic attacks and like shake the whole ring, and another one can pull out a weapon from her back pocket. Like literally, Becky Lynch can pull a motorcycle out of her back pocket to hit people with. And then if you have a high flyer like Rey Mysterio, of course they can do like springboard maneuvers, but they really can't pick up people and throw them across the ring like the other characters can. And then if you pick someone like Ricochet, who's also a high flyer, he plays exactly like Rey Mysterio. The only difference is they have different finishing moves. So like after you play through every class and see a few finishing moves here and there, you don't really have anything else to do when it comes to the gameplay. You won't have like these epic, grandiose matches like you would have in like I can't even say 2K20. barely say any of the 2K games. I had to go back to like No Mercy or Here Comes the Pain for that kind of feeling. But yeah, it's really weird that they promoted so much absurdity when it came to the game, and it's not really that absurd when you play it. Like outside of the big special maneuvers and a couple of throws, there's not much differentiating it from just a regular stand-up brawler.
Yeah, and it looks very cookie cutter as a result. Which is
Yeah,
kind of
it
annoying.
very much does.
And then you take a game that feels more cookie cutter than the predecessor, and once again they're doing the thing like I don't. Let's not. It's frustrating as a player when you get a game that feels less complete than the previous one.
Yes,
it's full price, and then they still have microtransactions in it.
Oh my goodness, this is what killed me about this game. Is the microtransactions. Not just the fact that the story mode is pretty uninspired and you only play through a game that first of all, I thought you were able to play your own created character throughout the story mode, but of course you can't do that. And that story mode is just presented in this comic book fashion with no voiceovers and really just an uninteresting story. The game modes themselves are okay, but a majority of them are lacking. I mean, of course, you have your tag team matches, you have your Royal Rumbles, no ladder matches, no table matches. The only thing that's really innovative is a steel cage match, which is actually pretty fun because they electrify the cage once in a while, but then you have to climb up the cage and grab money and all that kind of stuff, so you have to kind of work a meter. And then, with all of this, you get rewards, which is not unlike what we've seen in the previous 2K games. You get both a profile experience, which really matters nothing. Like, it has no meaning to anything. It doesn't matter what profile experience level you're at. And you get bucks, battle bucks in this case, with every match you complete. And these battle bucks are used to unlock certain things, like, of course, locked wrestlers, because even though they promoted that there will be 60 wrestlers in this game upon launch, only 20 of them are available when the game starts. A majority of the people that you want to play with, like Becky Lynch, AJ Styles, Sasha Banks, Brock Lesnar, even the legends like Hulk Hogan, Jake Roberts, they are locked. And these battle bucks they're not given to you in a plentiful manner. So I think one of the cheapest ones you can get is like 6,000 battle bucks. And it took me about a good hour and a half focusing pretty much on campaign mode to get up enough money, and that thankfully is added with profile experience. You hit a certain level of profile, and then of course you get a little bit more money. This problem is just ridiculous because not only does it cost more to unlock a majority of the wrestlers that you should have had unlocked at the beginning of the game, every wrestler comes with three outfits. You have to actually buy each outfit for that wrestler that you've unlocked. It doesn't unlock all three outfits at the same time. You have to buy individually the outfits plus the wrestler. And then to top it off, if you really wanted to think you want to have some fun, you have to unlock created wrestler slots. You get 5 slots base. You have to pay battle bucks to unlock more slots. Or, and I know this is the point that you want to bring up, Peter, you can spend that real money.
Yep.
You want to make it a little bit cheaper on you? Spend that real money. Get those gold coins. I was watching a review not long after the game came out, and somebody totaled it up, and it should be like over $150. If you want to unlock everything, not counting paying for the base game itself, it should be another $150 if you want to go the cheapest route without having to grind for battle bucks.
I have a real problem with this type of stuff.
Very much so.
Like, it's bad enough when they do it on a game that, like, feels complete, and then they're just like, oh, but you gotta get more. Like, they're doing it on such common things that used to be, like, I mean, we all gave Metal Gear Survive nonsense for, like, the save slot thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's like, it always feels so much more glaring when, like, a not particularly good game does something glaring that no other game would have the balls to do. Like, in this case, the creative character slots is the one that really bothers me in particular.
I thought it was one of those things that people, because I saw it actually, before I played the game, I actually saw people talking about it. And I just naturally assumed it was one of those things that it wasn't that big of a deal in terms of the way they priced it. or they will give you like a great amount of actual slots to play before, like, okay, if you want to unlock extra for some reason, even though really there's no reason why you have to unlock created wrestler slots, because we've never had this in any other WWE game before. But the fact is that none of this stuff was told to you beforehand.
No.
Like we were actually looking at the roster list before this, and they put by the base game these 2 asterisks to tell you that certain characters may be locked, and you have to unlock them either through in-game play or through microtransactions. But they don't specify, of course, which characters are locked, because a majority of the characters that you want to play with are the ones that are locked. And to top it off, for the people that want to have fun and make their own wrestlers and have their own absurd matches, if you don't spend more money or grind to get more money or in-game money, you will only have 5 available slots at the beginning. And then even online, I forgot to even mention that part. Online, you have tournament mode and an online Royal Rumble. In tournament mode, you have to fight 6. Hopefully, you can fight 6 people online in singles matches. Well, there are actually 3 options for tournament mode. And one of those options is, of course, the regular one-on-one. You play with any male character that you want to play with. That's unlocked at the beginning. There's a steel cage one that you have to pay to unlock. And there's a one where you can play with the women that you have to pay to unlock. So if you want to play a steel cage match online with somebody, you have to pay to unlock it. If you want to play with one of the many female wrestlers that you have that you have probably worked hard to unlock, like Becky Lynch, who is one of the more higher priced characters to unlock, you have to unlock the mode to play with her, with the hope that somebody has done the same thing, because it's hard for me to believe that 6 people have actually, you have enough people to do that. Because everybody's, of course, flocked to the one that's free.
Yeah. Like, it's just, I'm tempted to call it insidious, but it's not even insidious. It's just sleazy.
No, it really is. It's really sleazy, because it was one of those things, like, from the trailers, you're expecting this carefree experience from the get-go. And they initially give it to you. Like, when you first start playing it, you feel like, oh, this is a pretty fun experience. And then you see how much more work has to go into the idea of just trying to have fun. And that's what takes away from the overall enjoyment of the game. It can be bare bones as anything. But to say, hey, you have to really put some effort into not only unlocking characters, but also unlocking stuff that have never been locked before in a WWE game, it's absurd.
Yeah, like, it's just excessive.
Yeah, no, it's greedy. It really is. And the fact that, like, I mean, this was really supposed to be kind of like the apology to fans. That's what I think is more that kind of like gets to me.
I know, and it's an apology where it's like, give us money.
Yeah, like, yeah, we know you were upset last time. We're trying to give you something a little bit different, trying to make you feel a little bit better. Get your hopes up that we're on a better path coming into 2021. But if you want that to happen, you gotta give us some money, and we don't mean just for the game. We want more.
Pretty awful.
I know, and I know a lot of people were kind of like, oh, hopefully this will be the next WWE All-Stars, or just for the fact like, hey, maybe they've created another video game brand that people will be excited for to see a sequel. With this, I just don't see that being the case. Like, this is definitely, for me, feels like it's going to be one and done.
No, I don't know what they're going to do from here, because they needed to redeem themselves after 2K20, and they do this.
Right, exactly. Like,
which might as well be called WWE 2K Naked Cash Grab.
They had an opportunity when it came to this. Like, I hate to say that this should be a yearly game, because it really shouldn't. But it was one of those things, like, they actually created an IP that could have been a nice little extra. To add to, hey, let's do a Battlegrounds 1 year. And then the next year we do a 2K of WWE 2K game. So, like, every other year we get a different one. But, like, with this, I can't see anybody being excited for a sequel. That you would want to say, you know what, they did a great job with this one. I'm looking forward to seeing how well they improve on the second.
Yeah, guess we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I wonder if they're just going to be like, take the IP and be like, let's give it to someone else for a change.
I can see that happening because like with this and 2K20, like there's nothing about the WWE 2K license right now that will make you say I'm excited about anything they're about to do.
Yeah. Don't know if there's much else to say about this at this point.
No, it's sad because from a gameplay perspective, it actually starts off pretty fun. It should have been better than this. And then they use these microtransactions and everything else to just make it a slog when it shouldn't be. It should have been a fun, very fun experience, but it isn't.
So let's talk about something more fun. Let's talk about Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
So, Doom Patrol Season 1 was pretty good.
Very solid, yep.
Yep. Doom Patrol Season 2, it's like, hey, we want to do something weird, but we want to make it engaging and organized. Because, like, there's a lot of shows that are trying to, like, lean into the weird.
Yeah.
And I really think Doom Patrol does a good job of leaning into the weird while having a solid, constructed narrative that flows into itself very well. You know what I mean?
Very much so. Like, we have very weird moments that happen in this show that I don't really want to spoil too much.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it still
I will
feels
just
in the
mention
realm
real
of
quick. I got to mention this.
Uh-huh.
The Sex Men show up.
Yes, episode 4.
Yep. I just had to bring that up because I'm pretty sure they came up in the comics once because I remember seeing a thing about them back in the day.
Yes.
But although... Anyway, so for those who aren't familiar real quick, Doom Patrol is a DC series. It was part of the Vertigo line, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is an adaptation. And the Vertigo line were always meant to be the more out there, edgy, adultish stories.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny, because some of the stuff that ended up in Vertigo was not that adultish.
No, it was like, it was one of those things, it was so hokey. It's like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be edgy, but it just turned to be really hokey.
Yeah, it's like, because like, Adam Strange or whatever it is usually tied into that.
Yeah.
His stuff is not necessarily that much. Like, it tries to go a little more political at points, which I think is where it becomes more Vertigo-y. But even then, it's not like, that's not enough to justify. But in this case, like, Swamp Thing and Doom Patrol absolutely do that, but then Swamp Thing usually also gets marketed to kids.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Swamp Thing has his own animated series. and of course, Beast Boy from the Teen Titans usually has a lot of ties to Doom Patrol.
Right.
It's like, so, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Doom Patrol, the basic thing is you got the Chief, Niles, I keep forgetting, it's Calder, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, because sometimes I get it wrong and I call it Calder, and I'm like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
There's a U in there, and you pronounce the U. Yeah, he's got basically a group of people living in his mansion. So it's like it's like X-Men. If they were like, no, these people really, really have problems.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, it's a mix between what you normally see, like, the origin stories of, say, Spider-Man, where they're not necessarily born with powers like an X-Men, but they're treated very similar to how the X-Men are treated by society. Even though at times, you know, it might be one of those things that the Chief is looking at a little bit more strongly than society is looking at them. Outside, of course, Cliff, I can't really say that.
Yeah.
I don't think society would be too happy with Cliff.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, because the characters in general are pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Hang on, my voice is going. Ugh.
I thought you were going into number one of 64.
No, see, my drum is a never-ending sinus infection. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, so, like, we had the usual cast of characters we had, because pretty much everyone from Season 1 returns.
Yes.
With the obvious exception of,
our supervillain.
Nobody.
Yeah, our ominous supervillain in the first season.
Yeah, because, you know, they needed a villain of the season. But, like, what's pretty solid is they integrate, because one of the whole questions was, why the heck did the Chief even bring them together? And it turns out part of it is just because of Dorothy.
Yeah,
to
a certain extent it's selfishness, but understandably so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Dorothy Spinner, in classic child of superhero fashion, is a very powerful being.
Yes.
Oh man, okay. You might need to talk for a bit.
Yeah. So Dorothy, as we see she's been teased in the first season, and in the second season we get introduced to her, and she isn't necessarily visibly the child of Niles, because of what she is, of course, used as a sideshow freak. And come to find out, she actually has a connection. She has this ability to bring forth to life her imaginary friends. And this actually gives way to the main villain of season 2 really to be introduced in the first episode, which was one of the best scenes to me in the whole season, was the introducing of the Candlemaker. Like, that was just insane.
I know, the Candlemaker's a very interesting villain.
Yes.
Because, I mean, he does the thing you would expect a villain called the Candlemaker to do. Like, especially, like, later in the season, especially, it's like, oh, no, this is exactly what I would expect a villain like this to do. But he's just, like, I don't know how to describe it. He's very sort of Eldritchian, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like in Legion with the Shadow Dude, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Like, it very much kind of reminds me of that, because Legion, one of the whole points is Charles Xavier's son getting infected with the Shadow King. That's his name. I kept wanting to call him like the Shadow Prince.
Yeah, I wanted to say the Shadow Man for so. I guess we're still in the vertical thing.
Yeah. But yeah. So the whole idea is like this powerful eldritch being gets in contact with a child who has very powerful abilities.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
How in the world? And not only powerful abilities, but the ability to bring fiction into reality. So, I wonder what Candlemaker would want with her.
Yep. Hey, could you make myself an army?
It would feature Jesus. It would feature Jesus if you could help.
As you can imagine, this, and then of course they got living dolls and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That one in particular. I remember an article back in the day of creepiest comic book characters. Guess who was on that list?
Who?
That effing doll.
Ah!
Like, have you seen the art style?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the show still makes her creepy, but it does not do her justice.
No, not at all. No.
The original books are pretty horrifying. Yeah, so I don't know if there's much else to dive into. Like the big thing. Because we don't want to spoil the show too much.
No. I mean, we can look at, certain characters, I guess. That'd be the best thing to do, some of the main characters now, because, I mean, we didn't really look over it. We didn't do season 1, so we're kind of coming in fresh for people who haven't really seen it.
Yeah,
Like I said, we looked at Dorothy, we looked at the Chief, of course, the Candlemaker. Some of the Doom Patrol people, such as, pretty much our star player when it comes to this series right now is Jane by Diane Guerrero of Orange is the New Black fame. And she has I hate to do the split, comparison, but of course, she has developed 64 different identities from her disorder, with every different identity having a power. Of course, certain powers aren't that effective.
Nope.
But the ones that are very much so. And right now, like, Jane is like the dominant identity of the character that we would come to find out his name is Kay. And that's a big part of the entire season, is just trying to figure out how, and more importantly, who should be the primary, who should be the dominant identity for her as the season goes forward. And of course, by the end of the season, we kind of have an answer, but it's cut short.
No, like, it's a very interesting struggle.
Yeah.
April Bowlby plays, shockingly, like, I didn't expect April Bowlby to be able to pull this character off.
I know!
But she plays Rita Farr, Elastigirl.
Yes.
Whose whole thing is, she, like, it's body horror for the rubber character.
Yes.
Because her body is like jelly.
And it's funny, like, we talked about Avengers, and of course, like, one of the big things about Marvel's Avengers, the video game that we talked about last time, is Kamala Khan's whole "I'm elastic" and I'm still getting used to my powers, and it takes a lot out of me. Imagine if that was the whole character. Like, that is Rita.
Yeah, like, like, that's her character. It's pure body horror, too.
Right.
It's like, she's, like, melting repeatedly, which is one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, yeah, and then, of course, we get, oh, man, double drama with poor Larry Trainer.
Oh, yeah. Good old Mr. Negative.
What the hell was his character? What the hell was his superhero name, technically? Was he, oh, Negative Man.
Yeah, Negative Man, yeah.
Because I kept wanting to call it, like, Atomic Man. I'm like, no, that's wrong.
No. I was wanting to call him Mr. Negative. But that's Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Spider-Man, exactly. It's another one of those characters where, like, because they almost never use their aliases.
Right, exactly.
Which is fair. Like, Jane is one of the only exceptions because it's a personality.
Exactly.
And even then, it's like, well... And, you know, they called her Chief a few times.
Yeah, no, we got, like, him as Chief a lot more when they did the Titans, Doom Patrol episode than we have pretty much throughout the entire series of actual Doom Patrol.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because, like, with Negative Man and then Robot Man...
Yes.
Like, both of them have similar situations where their bodies are not their own anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
Because Negative Man, his body was basically distorted by negative energy living inside him.
Right.
Like, so essentially, he's covered in bandages so radiation doesn't get out.
Right, he's trying to protect people from his terribly radioactive form.
Yeah, because it was the containment suit thing, which, I mean, I can't remember, did they ever talk about containment suits? I swear like they did.
Yes, I really do believe they have. Like, it's just weird, like, I don't understand how bandages would do so well, but hey, if it works, I guess it works.
Yep. And then, like I said, Robot Man, Clip Steel, aptly named. Some of these characters have pretty apt names.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in his case, brain inside a robot, classic situation.
Yes.
And, you know, after a result of a horrific car crash.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, that's a pretty classic origin story right there. Horrific car crash. Oh, and now my disability is a superpower.
Yes.
But of course they're like, no. These are problems. You know, it's not. Oh, you now have superpowers. There's problems.
No. These are afflictions, both mentally and physically. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
It's nothing to really be. I mean, like we talked about X-Men. Like, they kind of put over the fact that your power should be celebrated. Like, you are a mutant, and it should be celebrated. Of course, unfortunately, you know, society doesn't see it that way. But it should be something that you should be happy to accept. Whereas with this, no, that is not the case.
No, like, you're living with hardship. I mean, you can ultimately use the hardship for good.
That's up to you. Yeah. But a majority of the people, I can understand if you didn't.
Like, it really makes me think of the old CW joke whenever there's a supernatural show. It's like, can we channel this darkness for good?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're not watching this. Like, yeah, that's kind of the crux of the whole show as a result. And like I said, one of the big things is, like, a big element is, of course, the chief is like, yeah, my daughter's super powerful,
yep.
And I need help with this. But he's been very cagey about that, because, like, the chief is introduced pretty early on, but then he's not in the first season much, because
no, he disappears for a long time, yeah.
So, but yeah, season 2, he's in it more, and, like, it helps get into more, you know, so they get into the real crappy stuff he did, but at the same time, it's like, okay. And then, man, some stuff happens.
Oh, yeah, especially, which is so unfortunate. And I'm actually glad we're talking about this now, because I know we were actually planning on doing this a little bit earlier, but now we can come into this knowing that there will be a third season. Because of what happened with the end of the second season. Of course, with COVID and the pandemic, they couldn't finish filming the real season finale. So it's only 9 episodes this season.
Yeah, and the 9th episode is basically a giant cliffhanger.
Exactly, because we were going to get the big season finale moment with episode 10. And unfortunately, we never got that because of the pandemic. So, like, there were some big moments coming out of episode 9 that hopefully now, once, you know, everything gets back and rolling, if it ever does, hopefully it does, but I mean, the fact that they have greenlit season 3 gives me hope, is the fact that we had, like, this big cliffhanger and a lot of grandiose moments that came out of the end of the episode of episode 9 that will hopefully be answered coming into the third season.
Ideally. So, I don't know if there's much else to say. It's a pretty good season.
No,
it flows together really well.
Stronger than season 1 for obvious reasons. I mean, they're building off of the success of season 1. And one thing I will say that it is one of the more consistently good DC shows we've had thus far when it comes to the brand new DC universe of television shows. You know, we talked about whatever was Titans. Swamp Thing was solid, but it had a very slow going. And then, of course, they canceled it, you know. And, like, for this is one of the ones that, it had a little bit of a slow going at the beginning, but then it really got into a nice groove. And to me, it hasn't really lost that groove.
It's fair. Yeah, it's like, if anything, it's found more of a groove.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we can just wrap it up there. Let's.
No. I'm in a groove, too, and I think that our next subject is a perfect groove.
Oh, yeah. You could almost say it's excellent.
Totally.
Yes. So many years in the making.
I know, man.
I still can't believe they finally went ahead and made this.
I know. Like I was, no joke, like watching the first 5 minutes. And I'm just like, I cannot believe in 2020 I'm watching another Bill and Ted movie. Like, I can't believe it finally happened.
Well, because, like, the first two are, like, beloved cult classics, but they're really not that good.
No!
Like, they're a lot of fun, and you don't regret watching them.
No!
But you're just like, yeah, this is the thing. We have to get a sequel.
Right!
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's really what I think about. Like, I'm not saying they're bad movies. I mean, they're not.
Not at all. It feels like you said, once it's a cult classic, a pair of cult classic movies for one, and for two, it's just one of those things that feels like it's rooted so firmly in that era that you wouldn't expect, like, oh, I would be craving a sequel at least in the next 10, 15 now in 2020. Like, that is just crazy to think about.
Yeah. So, Bill and Ted Face the Music. For those who are unfamiliar of the legendary tale of one Theodore Logan and William S. Preston, Esquire, Bill and Ted are two basically do-nothing, I guess, stoners.
Yeah, slackers.
Yeah, just slackers. Stoners doesn't feel accurate.
No,
you know what I mean?
Slackers, definitely.
Yeah. They were basically doing nothing with their life. And then, they were, like, you know, they're just trying to form a band with the Wyld Stallyns.
Yes.
Spelt with a Y. Because it's the 80s.
Because it
early 90s.
We use a lot of Z's instead of S's, and a lot of Y's instead of I's.
Yeah. And so, the whole thing was they were supposed to play the song that will unite the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big plot point in the first movie.
Yes.
And then the second movie was like, okay, this is a problem. We need to go back and kill them. And so the third one's like, hey, have they ever made that song?
Yeah, hey, you know what? They had a mission off the first one, and in the second one we still wanted to kill them, but we didn't succeed. So how about we just bring both of those things together?
Yeah, I know. So as a result, yeah, we get this delightful, like, I have to say it, because it's like, you know, back in the first movie, they met and fell in love with a couple of princesses.
Yes.
Brought them back to the present.
Yes.
Now they have kids with them.
Yes.
Which is very much a plot point. By the way, I want to say the casting in this is fantastic.
Oh, I loved it.
Because there was no way they were going to get the original actresses back for the princess.
Right.
So they brought back
and it wouldn't really fit
they brought in
either.
Sharon Hayes and Jemima Mays.
Right, and it really wouldn't fit either because with the whole time loop scenario that we're having right now, with the way their characters are aging and nobody else is.
I know. Like, yeah, it's like, all right, that makes sense. So they did really good cast. Oh, God damn it. Someday that'll be over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they did really good casting with that, and then it's like, okay, we need someone to replace, poor Rufus.
I know.
Because, of course, George Carlin.
Yes.
And so they went with, Kirsten Shaw, which I was a little iffy before I saw the movie.
Right, when they first showed her appearance, I was like, we're kind of going with this route right now, but then, you know, after that first introduction scene, I was all for it.
No, they absolutely wrote her perfectly.
Yes, it was so good.
Because like Kristen Schaal is one of those actresses, like she's in a lot of things, so you get overexposed to her, and then if you don't think she's well written, you're just like,
yeah, you just use it for name recognition now.
I always think about 30 Rock. She was just not welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Like that kind
She's
of
been
stuff.
good in other things though. Don't make me think I hate
Right?
her.
No. I completely agree. It was one of those things like when I first saw, it, I was like, we just had to get some name recognition in here. But then it was like, oh no, they did a really good job of handling her character well. Like that whole conversation with the mom on the phone was just absolutely pleasant. And
I know it's one of those characters. Like they got a few people in here that were like, oh yeah, these people are known because like we mentioned, Aaron Hayes and Jima Mays, they've done a lot of comedy stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, they were actually pretty good casting as well.
Yeah.
And then they introduced. Oh man, what's Anthony Kerrigan. Holy crap, that was a brilliant casting choice.
Yes.
I need to explain this. Okay, so the basic premise is they need to make the song in time, or the universe might unravel.
Right.
So Kelly's like, hey, you got to do this. So Bill and Ted are like, why don't we go steal the song from ourselves?
Yes. We gotta.
That's kind of like
we know our future selves have created this song. Let's go find it.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm like, so and thus we have a reason for the title "Face the Music,"
right.
which was a solid title choice. And in the meantime, their daughters Thea and Billy are like, this is a terrible plan. Let's do what our dads did in the first movie. Let's go gather some famous people.
Yes. And I will say, absolutely greatest daughters ever. Not just for this pure and simple fact of trying to help the dads. That first scene at the wedding, when they hear the song that their fathers believe will unite the universe, the reaction to that song was the cutest thing I've ever seen. Like, I want my daughters, if I ever have a daughter, to be that into whatever I do, even if it sucks. Oh,
yeah. Like, they were really well written.
Yes.
Because, like, they're still got their flaws, and they're not like, oh, we can never hate our dads. But
right.
It's like, but they're just like, we have to help our dads.
Right. Like, we understand. They understood their dads a lot better than anybody else did. And they went out of their way to make sure that their dads were successful in their mission. Even if it did, even if it really was unbelievable to them, until they saw the future. Literally, I love the fact they said, "Oh, look, it's the future." Until they saw the future, they really didn't believe what their dads were saying, but they believed in them.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say their choice musicians to build their band is also pretty solid?
Oh my goodness, I will spoil this one. The fact, like, the first one they walked up to was Jimi Hendrix. And I just love the evolution of, okay, not only will we try to get, like, somebody that we know a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, that'd be a part of a great band. But then to give honest, like, Louis Armstrong. And then even go back. Just the fact we go back to the prehistoric era was just so good.
I know, they just go for, like, the most famous drummer they could find. It is, like, guy from prehistory. And they got a flautist from Chinese history.
Yes!
Like the legendary
oh my
figure.
goodness, we get Mozart. Like, oh, just so great.
Yeah, but just getting Louis Armstrong with Jimi Hendrix, I'm like, man, I don't think too many people would have thought
of that combination. Yeah, that was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, like it was a great little, like that band is great. But okay, we got to talk about Dennis.
My name is Dennis. Yes.
So Anthony Kerrigan, for those who don't know, played Soho Hank, right? Or is it NoHo Hank?
Yes.
In the show Barry, and is really one of the highlights of that show. Because he's just like this delightfully awkward, very sincere, clever yet not clever enough mobster dude with delusions of grandeur. Like, he constantly doesn't seem to know what show he's in, which is fair, because that show someone doesn't always seem to know what show he's in, right? And in this case, like, so he's just like, he is the last type of person you would think to play a time-traveling killer robot.
And, I mean, the way they introduce him, he's so cold. Like, it's so wonderful. Like, you would never expect this person to be that robot. And then as the story progresses.
Yeah. I mean, the Wikipedia description pretty much nailed it. He's emotionally insecure.
Yes. mean, no. When you first see him, he looks very stoic. He's a robot. He's an assassin of a robot. And then as you see him try to go about his mission, you realize how emotionally insecure he really is.
Oh, I know. Well, this is the thing too, because like he's got what is he? He's got severe alopecia, and as a result, like he's got like the weird makeup and stuff. So as a result, like he's not like a bald albino per se, but he's got a very typical look of a villain as a result.
Right.
Because like he played Victor Zsasz in Gotham.
Yes.
But like there was kind of a revelation when he was on Barry playing a more comedic character. And so he even got nominated for an Emmy Award for his comedic role. So sure enough, it's like, okay, this is another one of those comedians who's kind of on the rise. Let's get him in this role. And it's one of those basically perfect casting moments. Because, like, they wrote to his strength.
Oh my
and as
goodness,
a result,
yes.
he is fantastic in this movie.
When he screws up the first time in his reaction, it was so cold. And it didn't hit me when I first saw it. And then when it happened again, and you realize what was going on with his character, it just made it so much more emphatic of how good this is, like how well written this is. And by the time we get to pretty much the culmination of the movie and we see how he's acting, it is absolutely wonderful. Like when you brought him on, everything that I could think of about him, like every scene that he was in, I just started thinking about it, and I'm just laughing, trying to hold back from laughing.
I don't want to repeat any of his lines because
I know.
Like, even if I say them, like even though they're very basic lines, like, yeah. So as a result, this movie actually has a really good job of really focusing on more or less the theme of the first one, but like we do get some elements of the second one, absolutely, including the point where we have to go to the afterlife, of course, because we need to get Death back. Because Death was one of the highlights of the second one, so he needs to make a cameo, and he's like that's really what he mostly is like. For anyone who wonders like how much of a role Death is going to play this, it's basically a giant cameo.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, okay, we're going to throw you into the final act, and that was really it.
Yeah, and it's really well done.
No, it was done very well though. Like I love the character and I love the interaction. And I love the I wanted to say something else, but I was going to spoil something. It's really a big deal when it comes to the interaction between Bill, Ted, and Death. So I can't say it, but no, they did a really good job of not only reintroducing Death to Bill and Ted, but also explaining to the viewer, who may have never seen the first two movies for some reason, and when it comes to just jumping into the third movie, why Death is looked upon the way he is, and why he looks upon Bill and Ted the way he does.
Yeah. You need to see all three movies, absolutely. And, even though, you could probably do okay for the most part, but, that final act really pays off the second movie in a wonderful way.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to put it out. Because, otherwise you could probably just watch most of this movie with only the first movie in your head and be fine.
And still be fine, yeah.
Yeah. I would dare say it might be the best of the three.
I could not believe that I enjoyed the movie as much as I did. Not because I didn't like the first two Bill and Ted movies. It was just one of those things that I could not believe that in 2020 you'd be able to recapture that magic.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing. I'm coming into this very similar like we had with Zombieland 2. It's no way you can recapture that same magic, and yet here we are.
No, this is more of a Blade Runner than a
exactly. Yep.
Than a Sin City or a 300.
Yes.
Just to think of movies that had sequels way too late.
Yes, had way too late, and it just did not work.
No, this one absolutely had something to say.
Yeah, and one thing I will spoil when it comes to the ending. I love the just bluntness of it. There's a little bit of a narration there, and I just love how just matter of fact it was. It was instead of going through this long exposition, it was okay, we did this, and this was to happen, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was just so matter of factly, and it just worked. It worked. So much of this movie just worked, and I am so happy that in 2020 we got the third Bill and Ted movie, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's great. I don't know if we have anything else to say.
No.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up this week then. We got well under an hour, which I'm pretty happy with.
Oh, yeah. and we had a nice little curve. We had a nice little hill today of starting off pretty rough and then going up to a nice peak.
Oh man, the first one was so rough. Yep. I don't know if there's much else to say.
No, just gotta rock on. That's all.
Yep. Just keep on rocking in the free world, folks.
That's right.
Keep on.
And if you ever get lost in the space-time continuum, just ask Kid Cudi, and he will tell you whatever you need to know, because that man is a freaking genius. I don't understand how he can remember the stuff that he did.
He's a national treasure.
I tell you, he really is.
All right.